Hey guys, it's Jane. I'm a watercolor painter, and in today's video I will show you how I mount and store my watercolor paintings. Quick disclaimer though, this video is not about professional framing but about storing the artworks safely before they leave the artist and get adopted by a customer. I have been selling my original watercolor paintings for a while now, and only a few times it was requested that the artwork is professionally framed. There is a lot of inconvenience in selling artwork that is already framed. First of all, there is a bit of trouble with shipping because glass gets easily broken and postage is way too expensive. Another issue is that my customers often want to pick their own frames. You might have a different experience, but as far as my own practice goes, I keep my artworks mounted, but they are not framed until they are shipped to their new owners. This is what works the best for me and my customers at the moment. However, you might just want to learn how to mount your watercolor painting for the purposes to frame it yourself and use an inexpensive frame from IKEA or so. In this case, you might find this video helpful. First thing to keep in mind is to make your painting as flat as possible. I use stronger masking tape and press the paper down firmly to the painting board. When your tape doesn't let go of the paper during painting, chances are that the final artwork will be flat enough. The paper should be at least 300 GSM, as thinner paper buckles quite extensively. But if you still have a buckled painting in the end, try pressing something heavy such as books or boxes on top of it for a few days. This usually helps to flatten it. I am now going to show you how to mount a watercolor artwork. I found that watercolor paintings with mounts, when they are presented this way, they give it quite a neat look and they are much more presentable than in their raw state. And that is despite the clean white watercolor tape edges that they already have in most cases. The problem you can have with frames that you buy from stores such as IKEA, for example, is that they use mounts and sizes in a standard format. For example, this is A4 and this is A3, and my painting doesn't fit any of them. It is too large to be used with this mount and too small to be used with the other size, and that is why it is crucial to make your own mount. Now you can buy the mount, purchase it or order it online, and it is one of the more expensive things to invest into, so that might be not so practical. But what I do is that I take a sheet of watercolor paper, thick, at least 300 or 600 GSM paper, that will create some sort of space between the painting and the mount. So when you put it in a frame, there is still some space for the painting to breathe, and the frame or the glass will not touch the painting directly. The process of cutting the mount out of thick paper is pretty straightforward. First, you need to measure out the outer size of your mount. In my case, I want my artwork with the mount to be 30 by 40 centimeters. So I will use one of the mounts I already have as a guide and cut my paper to this size. The next thing to do is to find out how large the window should be, and for this we have to measure the painting. I will do the longer side first, so the mount is 40 centimeters long, but my painting is only 35, and that's for the painted part of the painting. This leaves me with 5 centimeters, and I would split them between the bottom and top of the painting. And it's up to you if you want to split the difference in half. Sometimes it's okay to leave more space in the bottom. Measure it out and draw the edge lines using the ruler and a pencil. Do the same for the shorter sides. My painting width was 25, but the mount was 30. So again, I was left with 5 centimeter difference to split. Draw the lines, and now we have the window. Grab a ruler, and please be careful with this part because you don't want to lose your fingers. Use your ruler as a guide and slowly and carefully cut the window out of the paper. Now we attach the newly created mount to the painting. I start with one longer side, and when I press the masking tape down firmly, I make sure that the painting is aligned. I will then mount all the remaining sides of the painting. Painting is now mounted, and I wanted to show you how to store it if you are not going to frame it and it's gonna be staying in your studio or home studio for a while so that it doesn't get damaged. Watercolor paintings should be stored flat, best in a complete dark and pressed between the sheets of any acid-free paper. You wanna invest in a drawing cabinet or just keep them in a regular drawer if they fit. You basically need to separate the paintings with these papers, one by one. And there is no need to put it in a plastic bag or anything. This is the way that they get protected from light, and since they are flat, if you even put something heavy on top of these papers, it will keep them flat for a really long time. And since there is no acid around the paintings and there is no light, because it is stored in the drawer, the painting should last for a very long time. However, there is a type of situation that I often have in my studio, and that is that people are often touching the paintings. And they go into my drawers and they look through the drawers. And that's what happens quite often because my studio is also a classroom. And so I do keep my original paintings that I previously mounted stored in a plastic bag. This is not a permanent solution, I have to say, because the painting can't really breathe and it should not really be stored this way if you intend to have it in the drawer for the longest time. But if the situation is as it is in here, I think it's better to protect it with something, and the plastic or the cellophane that I'm using does the job. So that's the solution that I'm currently using. And when paintings are protected by cellophane sleeve as well as mounted nicely, they are very presentable. And you don't have to be worried when people are touching them because they're not gonna damage them. So this is the way I really prefer to have the originals stored in my studio and also displayed. Lastly, I wanted to mention fixing or varnishing the watercolor painting. Some techniques that are done on paper such as pastel or charcoal require using a fixative due to dusty nature of the medium and its tendency to fall off the paper. But watercolor doesn't need to be fixed, and I would even advise against it, since fixative could change your coloring and it also reacts with the paper surface in a way that could lower the lifespan of the painting or the paper itself. When trying to preserve the painting permanently, and that is if I am the final owner of a watercolor painting, I would definitely have it professionally framed under a glass or plexiglass with UV filter and never displayed under direct sunlight. Those are the rules. Glass itself will give the painting protection against surface damage like no fixative could anyway. So that's it from me this week, and I hope that you will find the video helpful in some way at least. And if you found it helpful, it would be helpful that you gave it a thumbs up, and I will see you again in my next video very soon, because nowadays I have much less to do and I can do a video very soon. And with that, I am really saying bye now. Bye bye.